Hi everyone, welcome back to Snapshot Saturdays. My name is Tessa and I'll be doing the program for today. The program is titled The Lindbergh Legend, The Great Advertising Feat. Lindbergh lands in Paris on Goodrich Silvertones appeared in the St. Louis Globe Democrat Monday, May 23rd in 1927, the first weekday paper after Charles Lindbergh's pioneer nonstop flight from New York to Paris 2 days prior. The 1920s had witnessed a rapid advance in aviation, with American newspapers closely covering aviators' progressive attempts to outdo one another. However, a nonstop Atlantic crossing stood as the next milestone, yet unable to be conquered, with multiple aviators dying in attempts. In 1919, in hopes of encouraging innovation in pursuit of this goal, American businessman Raymond Ortigue announced a prize of $25,000, or close to $455,000 today, to be awarded to the first aviator to be able to make it from New York to Paris or vice versa in one flight. Collaborating with the Ryan Aeronautical Company to create a unique plane and funded by backers out of St. Louis, in 1927, Lindbergh decided to try for the Ortigue Prize. As this Goodrich Silvertone Tires advertisement of May 23rd recounts under a recreation of the spirit of St. Louis, Lindbergh's plane, Silvertones started Lindbergh safely on his way past the dangerous, critical seconds of the takeoff at New York. These were seconds of held breath and tense nerves. Would the tires stand up as the 5,150 pounds of the loaded plane hammered and battered them along the runway? Would they hold the 46-foot wingspread of the Eagle ship true to course? Successfully taking off, Lindbergh proceeded to fly for 27 hours straight before being spotted off the coast of Ireland, where he continued on towards Paris while word quickly spread through both Europe and the United States of his impending success. Crowds in Paris began to rush the airfield as he approached, requiring him to circle several times before landing. The B.F. Goodrich Rubber Company proclaims, "Silvertones delivered him safe at Paris, safe from the fateful impact as his Eagle plane swooped from the sky and slammed its wheels down on Europe. Silvertones held. Their sinewy strength, their sturdy cushioning, stood the strain and stress that had doomed 1,000 flights. Captain Lindbergh soared away safe and landed safe." This feat earned Lindbergh not only the $25,000 of the Ortigue Prize, but a previously unprecedented level of celebrity. The great advertising feat aimed to explore his impact on American pop culture and society. The level of fame Lindbergh experienced after completing the flight cannot be overstated. Public adulation of Lindbergh resulted in powerful social and commercial responses to his celebrity. Some clear examples of this fever pitch response can be seen in the language used in the advertisements created after the flight. The St. Louis Globe Democrat called him a hero of the air, while a Conroy's ad stated that Charles Lindbergh has performed a service immeasurable in dollars and indescribable in words. Multiple fatalities occurred to crowd crushes at Lindbergh appearances. Biographer Scott Berg estimates 7,430,000 feet of newsreel were used to record his movements after only 1 day's reception. The Owensboro, Kentucky Messenger-Inquirer claims that the newspaper space devoted to Lindbergh's exploits was record-breaking, corroborating what the New York Times called the great advertising feat accomplished by Charles Lindbergh. Thus, the Lindbergh boom was created. The phrase refers to an economic phenomenon where, following the flight, aviation stocks rose and public interest in flying soared. The Literary Digest claimed that only 1 day after publishing an ad stating that Lindbergh used gargoyle mobil oil in the Atlantic crossing, the stock prices of the Vacuum Oil Company saw a bump, a company now under the name ExxonMobil. This included Wright Aeronautical, which largely credited the success to the marketing of the Wright Whirlwind engine used in the spirit of St. Louis. Airlines found new opportunities in consumer models as more civilians gained interest in aviation. In 1928, for the first time, sales of new civil aircraft exceeded those of military aircraft. The Lindbergh boom is pointed out as a phenomenon because even aviation companies with no direct ties to the flight experienced a surge in investor interest and optimism. It also marked the first period in American aviation history where the field shifted to a consumer-driven model over a military one. Even some companies with no ties to aviation at all were swept up in the Lindbergh boom. Rowan Bishop with the North Carolina Museum of History points out stock activity for Seaboard Airline, a corporation that was actually a railroad. An additional component in the Lindbergh boom is the feverish personal fascination inspired in the public. The Literary Digest posits that this could have come from the accessibility of the story. Everyone could clearly understand the magnitude of what had been accomplished, but the technology was still mysterious enough to invite curiosity. Communication was also a large factor, with increased numbers of newspapers, access to movies and newsreels, and faster cross-country and international communication. Every aspect of Lindbergh's life was of rabid public interest, and every aspect was therefore monetizable. As early as 4 days after Lindbergh landed, theaters began to show films documenting his achievement. These motion pictures largely consisted of footage of the takeoff and landing, with some providing additional context around the construction of the plane. There were many reports of Lindbergh being approached to star in biopics or even on Broadway, but these offers were never accepted. Later films, such as 40,000 Miles with Lindbergh from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, documented his travels after 1927. Speed was the name of the game for Lindbergh features, with the Wausau Daily Herald claiming that 2 biographies were already available the day after the landing. One of the most well-documented releases was Charles Lindbergh, His Life, by Dale Van Every and Morris Tracy, released in record time almost 2 weeks before Lindbergh's autobiography, We. His Life was reportedly translated into French by August. We would go on to sell over 600,000 copies by the next year. Many newspapers, already bolstered with large front-page images and headlines of Lindbergh, as well as Lindbergh-centric advertising, ran Lindbergh special editions. While only a select few could boast articles written by Lindbergh, large color print portraits were always a selling point, along with details of Lindbergh's childhood, his time in college, and even the foods he enjoyed. Additionally, multiple pastors promoted sermons based around Lindbergh. The advertising culture that sprang up around Charles Lindbergh was truly unprecedented. Only rarely could many ads claim any true relevance to Lindbergh or even aviation at all. The power of his celebrity was enough to reach all corners of industry. For example, many corporations were lucky enough to be able to base their campaigns around direct ties to Lindbergh, real or fake. The most prolific of these was the previously mentioned Vacuum Oil Company, which ran a massive ad campaign the very next day after Lindbergh landed. The Franklin Motor Car Company pointed out Lindbergh's ownership of a Franklin and even displayed his personal car in a Franklin showroom. E.B. Meyerowitz Incorporated had cheered Lindbergh's use of their Meyerowitz Luxor goggles, and he was reported to have used a waterman's pen to mark his route. Any connection at all was fair game. The Standard Oil Company bragged that he used their Staniland aviation gasoline, which was true, but only for the overland portion of the flight from St. Louis to New York. Heavily Selected Milk claimed that a bottle of milk was the first thing Colonel Lindbergh asked for upon his arrival in Paris. He didn't. Many more groups without a direct connection commercialized the idea of Lindbergh, including his name and image. Colonel Lindbergh conquered the Atlantic with an air-cooled motor. You can buy this dependable transportation in a good-used Franklin air-cooled car. Lindbergh's ability to save his first $2,000 made it possible for him to win fame and fortune. Utah Savings Bank. Lindbergh, the most popular man in this country. Pittsburgh automatic gas water heaters, the most popular water heaters in this country. Both winners. Others simply posted their congratulations, commemoration, or welcomes to their cities. Lindbergh novelties were in production before he even stepped off the plane. His likeness, along with the spirit of St. Louis, were reproduced on buttons, ornaments, balloons, cushions, printed fabrics, and dolls. This level of merchandising was previously unheard of and helped grow perceptions of Lindbergh's celebrity in a self-fulfilling cycle. Additionally, a large genre of ads revolved around Lindbergh's national tours. Specific cities would create advertisements welcoming him, while other attractions such as parks or tours would try and cajole visitors their way after seeing Lindbergh. Binoculars were needed to see Lindbergh, cameras to take pictures of him, pictures to be bought, frames to hold the pictures, and of course, flags to wave. Businesses announced their closure for Lindbergh Day, and restaurants created branded meals for the event. Not wanting to be left out, a specific florist claimed visitors should buy ferns as a living souvenir of the Lindy celebration. Fashion, moreover, was another industry experiencing a powerful commercial response to Lindbergh. In addition to the well-known Lindy lids, engraved bracelets, men's hats, fur coats, women's dresses, robes, hand-decorated hats, and colorways of silk branded Lindbergh Tan, Lindy Rose, and the Spirit of St. Louis, which was white, bordered in red, blue, black, and green. Belts, ties, and watches appeared along flight suits for boys, with the pithy, "Here's your landing field, boys department, 6th floor." In this way, the Lindbergh legend refers to more than just the literal story of the 1927 flight. The incomparable response to and effect of Lindbergh's celebrity fundamentally changed the way we experience fame and publicity. Things that have become normal for modern celebrities, like media frenzies and press agents, were seen for the first time in history. Lindbergh's personal life was also of great public interest in a completely unprecedented manner. He influenced legislative changes, including the Lindbergh Law or the Federal Kidnapping Act, and served as a representative for the aviation industry, both socially and economically. The great advertising feat truly was just that, an almost disembodied phenomenon that simultaneously fed off of Lindbergh's legend. So that is going to be all for our Snapshot Saturday today. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you next time. And thank you so much again. Have a great rest of your day.